So today we are going dad versus daughter. So a crazy story where everybody has their own perspective. Same story, obviously unique story, and the daughter has her way of seeing the story and dad has another way of seeing the story. So hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing way well. Today I actually want to talk about a story that is pretty much going viral, especially on the manly YouTube channel. So I saw the video from a different perspective, so I don't know the name of the brother, but I really enjoy his channel. Pretty fair person. He doesn't not diss women just because they're women, but generally, well, he gives his opinion, fair opinion usually. And the video title is Famous TikToker Tries to Blast Her Dad on Social Media and his response is gold. So I'm going to let it play a little bit, not the whole thing, but I'm just going to let it play a little bit and give my opinion about the story and my opinion about what the brother from a different perspective also said, and we'll be back.
What's a piece of trauma that you have that's funny? It has to actually be funny. I'll go first. My dad abandoned my family when I was 5 years old. That is a wife and 4 kids. He abandoned us and then pursued amateur breakdancing. And he got really good. He like blew up. Like he became like a D-list celebrity status, like viral breakdancer. He became like the oldest actively competing breakdancer in the world. Then he got on Good Morning America and talk shows, and Washington Post wrote about him, and he went super viral. And he did all these interviews, and he danced with Paula Abdul. Here, I'll show you.
Take a look at this 60-year-old breakdancer.
The worst part, damn it, he's good. He should not be able to move his body like that. It's like impossible. It's beautiful. Hey, Dad. Like there was no split custody or anything. Like he just like left 4 kids to do that. He may not have paid for some of my medical bills growing up, but he did give me this breakdancing merchandise. So that's him. He's on his head. Benihana is his b-boy name because his name is Ben Hart. You know, I'll get texts like this, happy birthday, ? And then like links to his breakdancing videos.
Okay, so just before we continue with the dad's response, first off, I think she's a bit crazy. Actually, I'm making this video. Let me explain why I'm making this video, because she did her video, the dad responded, and I was like, oh, it's fine. And to me, before even the dad gets into it, to me, when you're a kid and you're 5-year-old and your parents get divorced, stay with one of the parents, to you, obviously, the other one has left the ship, especially because she was with her 3 other siblings and the mom. So you're like, my mom stayed and my dad abandoned us. He's the one who left. We're all still together and daddy has left. From a 5-year-old growing up with this, because obviously when you're 5, it's a sort of trauma. I can understand what she means. What I don't understand though, first off, and one of the things that I really hate about YouTube or about the social media world, is people trying to get their personal stories out there. Yes, I'm talking about it, but at the same time, I always wonder, why do people want to take their private business to the public? Because obviously you're saying that about your dad. Even if your dad was a deadbeat dad, as you say, people are going to come for your dad. And she's like, oh, I love your dad. So if you love your dad, why are you putting him on blast? That's my question. So let's listen to the dad's response.
First, I can see that as a 5-year-old, Maddie would see her dad as having abandoned the family. One day I was living there, the next day I wasn't. And that will look like abandonment to a child. But married couples do get divorced about half the time in America. And I was just living a mile or so down the street in LaGrange, Illinois. We just weren't living under the same roof. Now, about not paying medical bills, that's just not correct. Here was the financial arrangement of the divorce. Maddie's mom, my ex-wife, got $2 million at the get-go, out of the gate, a lump sum payment. Plus, I was paying her $18,000 per month in child support and alimony. This was later reduced to $12,000 per month. And of course, I paid health insurance and out-of-pocket medical costs. I also put $600,000 into the kids' college fund. In all, I paid out about $5 million to my ex-wife to cover costs for her and the kids. And this is in 2005 dollars. So add 50% to account for inflation. In other words, I was not a deadbeat dad at all. And by the way, Maddie did not say that in her video. but a lot of the comments assume that and say that. Now, of course, there was no way for Maddie to know how much I was paying because she was a kid. This wasn't something I talked about. Also, remember that I was living 1 mile down the road from the kids in LaGrange, Illinois. Sidewalks all the way. An easy walk or bike ride. I saw the kids all the time. No abandonment, just a divorce. Was I at fault in the divorce? Yeah, I would say I was about 70% at fault. I own that. Maddie's mom and I were really not compatible in many ways. We were compatible in some ways, but not in other.
He gave $5 million. Not a lot of people can give $5 million to their ex-wife for their kids. So already the man was doing very good for himself. Way back in 2002, you know, remember when money had real value back then. So he didn't abandon. And I understand that sometimes when we're kids, and especially daughters with their dads, we want to have our father close. So I decided, let me go to the brother of a different perspective, because to him, the mom is at fault, because the mom is probably the one who actually put that in Maddie's head. And I didn't really think that was the case, because sometimes kids are just like that. They would actually feel like dad has abandoned us. He abandoned my mom, he abandoned me, he abandoned my siblings. This is the feeling she has. This is what she grew up believing is the truth to her. I don't even think that everything the dad said right about now, she believes that. I think that her truth is daddy left us. Now I decided to check a little bit in the comment section. Another person said evil mothers turn their children against their fathers. Again, we don't even know if this is what the mom said. I think that this is just Maddie's opinion about the whole divorce. So, and another one, she doesn't realize how lucky and privileged she is. So after all this, I was like, yeah, you know, it was cute because she pretty much said, I love you, dad. The dad also was like, yeah, I love you, mom. So for me, that was like a non-story. It was something like everybody had their opinion. She would see this and she would be like, oh, so this is what I thought. And, you know, let me just, you know, have maybe grown-up conversation with my father. But this is not what happened. She saw her dad's answer. And then she decided to double down. And this is actually why I am making this video.
I know my dad posted like a 10-minute video or whatever being like, you know, my daughter's lying. We have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with all my kids. That's just objectively not true. Like, guys, we're all freaking out about this in my family group chat right now. We're being like, he's so unhinged and delusional. We don't know if he actually believes his own narrative or if he's lying on purpose, but he's just like a weird guy. Yeah, he said he lived down the street from us. That's not true. Or like if he did, it was only for a few months maybe, but actually for most of my childhood, he lived in Florida with his new wife. Like basically like, I don't want to get into this. Like, again, like my video was basically like sanitizing the situation and like poking fun at the lightest parts of that childhood trauma. But obviously in real life, it was a lot more like complicated and traumatic. And it was really hard. He left us, immediately married another woman. We didn't hear from him for years. And then he would visit every few months and we'd go out to dinner. But like, he truly had no hand in raising us at all. We don't speak with any sort of regularity. He doesn't know when my birthday is. Like, as you guys saw in the video I posted, he got it wrong. He gave us some money growing up. I honestly don't know the nitty gritty of the financial situation. I really, really don't. But I do know that several times I've asked him for financial help with medical expenses, like especially like in college, and he wouldn't help me. So that's what I was referring to in my video when I was like, he wouldn't pay some of my medical bill.
Because when she doubled down, I went with the fellas. Because I was like, see what? I understand that somehow you don't really agree and you have your opinion as a 5-year-old. Okay, but the fact that you now knows your father's opinion and you can still be ungrateful about everything. You know, some people's parents will never see $5 million. Not to say that if there's a divorce, the mom is never going to see $5 million. She went to school. He paid for everything. Her school, her child support, all the thing, he paid for that. And she still feels like, nah. So clearly the dad, you know, probably he was at fault in the divorce. First off, if you can give $5 million in in damages too upfront is because you're probably the one who cheated. From the pictures that was shown on Hasman Gold TV's video, he seemed that, you know, he was having some on the side. So, and she stated that when they got divorced, he immediately got married. So again, he had somebody else before the divorce, probably or allegedly. And now I can understand that again, as a 5-year-old, you see all this, and she doesn't know the nitty-gritty of the financial situation. But even if you don't know, if you have a great life, and again, I'm going to assume like the mom is not working, but you are living good. You're not like most kids in America that have to take loans and go to school. It has been paid for, and you are now living in Hollywood, and probably had something to do with this, you know, connections and network, and you can still not be like, oh, let me let go. And the thing that actually annoys me the most, like seriously, I can't get over this, is the fact that who brings their dad out to talk about him when he did all of this? Yes, he might not know, but you know what? Men are usually like that. There was a video going around, I think I saw it on Twitter, when somebody on the street was asking mom and dad, like, do you know like your son or your daughter's best friend's name? And all of the dads, I believe, they couldn't answer this. And the moms were like, her best friend name is this and this and this and that and this and this. But I assumed from these videos that the dad were the ones who were working and the mom was staying at home, and they usually know their kids a little better on that sort of things because they're always with their kids. The dads are always outside looking for money so that they can pay for the house, they can pay for the food, the kids can go to school. So they don't know the details of every little thing going on. They know the big lines of their kids' life at that stage, but if it's not that important, they don't have to know it. They're not there 24/7. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. I just mean that they're fixating on one side of the problem while the missus are fixating on other things on the other side of the problem. So it's not a blame situation that this is what it is, because I mean, my dad is like that. My dad knows a lot about me, but my best friend name, yeah, now, but when we were kids, you have so many friends that how is your dad going to know all of these things? Your dad lives in a house and you have shared custody. How is it that you're telling us that you've never been at your dad's house? That's weird, because where did you see your dad then? And she's like, my dad was so absentee and this and that, and he refused to pay my medical thingy when I was a grown-up in college. He doesn't have to do it. He may, if he's a great dad and a good dad and he can afford it, but after giving your mom and you guys $5 million back in the day money, he can say no. And she feels a little entitled. And this is what I don't like, because again, you already brought the story out, putting light on your family, instead of just keeping it down. Like, I don't know if it's a thing today where people wants to just bring their bad business out there. You know, recently Monique decided to shame her kid in public, and I'm like, no guys, when it starts being that nasty, you have to keep it shush. She said stuff, you know now the amounts that this man spent on you. Okay, maybe he was not there physically, but he sends you messages. You can actually, as a grown-up now, you can try to mend that situation with him. And when he answered actually publicly, he didn't shame you. And you're like, no, I have to defend my family and leave the video out, because her dilemma is like, should I leave the video out? And I'm starting to feel like this is now for clout. And she doesn't actually care. She just cares about the fact that people are just listening to her and, you know, watching the video, and she doesn't want to take the video down. And I mean, you know what? It just goes to show that, okay, it might not have been your fault when you were 5-year-old, but now you're just being a nasty person and a very ungrateful kid to your dad, because clearly you have the life you have, a pretty good one, you and your siblings, because he didn't actually just leave. He took care of you financially your whole life. And sometimes people do what they can do. And you can't just like, diss somebody on the internet, your dad, not even someone, your dad, and then feel like, okay, he's actually trying to lie on us, he was not there, blah blah blah. You can have this discussion in private, like seriously. Anyway, I think it's a sad situation when kids, when you're grown, I can understand when we were teenagers and we were a bit weird towards our parents, but I think that when you're grown and everything, like, just take the time to just be like, if it's really hurtful, talk about it and mend it. If it can be mended, just leave it out, leave it alone, and just try to still get along. But I don't like the fact that she came and she dissed this man in public. He doesn't look like a bad person. She doesn't actually look like a bad person. But I just feel like somehow just saying that is an absentee person, and yet he got to know what you're doing on social media. He sent you messages. You showed us the messages that yes, he said, is it your birthday? But it's not the end of the world. That, again, that can be weird like that. So I don't know. But I just feel like people could just like understand, stop bringing your personal business out in public, because at the end of it, even if you man, every time people will see you, they'll have this image of the ungrateful daughter or the absentee father, and people are just going to be in your business. So anyway, that was it for me today, because I didn't want to talk about this, but her response was so shocking to me that I decided to just give you my 2 cents. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you in the next one. Faceless out. Ciao, ciao.